SSF2 is a game that is thankfully no stranger to tech. There's so many different techs in this game that allow for so much creativity and style that you don't see much in many other games. They add a level of depth that's really fun and interesting, and knowing that a lot of these are straight up not intentional, it shows how creative our community's gotten over these years. And today we're going to be looking at those techs to see if we can find one character specific tech for every single character in the game. And this is actually harder than it seems. Though there's a lot of tech in the game, it's not absolutely everywhere. So sorry if I'm reaching a little bit with some of these characters, but I tried. These won't necessarily be the most useful tech with every character, just some of the first things that come to my mind. I'll briefly look over the tech, and then for fun, I'll rate them out of 10 to see how actually useful it is. Because some of these are literally only for style, and others are vital to the character. And just before we start, I'd like to say, if you like this video and want to see more content like it, please consider subscribing. I decided that I want to hit 3K before summer ends, and I'm only about 150 away. Not forcing you, but hey, it would make my day. Anyway, enough with the stalling, and let's just get right into it. Mario's Cape Glide is probably the most iconic SF2 exclusive tech. If you use Cape right at the moment before running off a platform, you hover for the rest of the animation as though you were still on the ground. Even though it's very popular, that doesn't mean it's good. At most, you might get a dumb mix-up, but not very good. 1 out of 10. Luigi's not super well known for his tech, but if you side special and aim it for a platform, you can keep the momentum with it, and you can edge cancel off of it. This one's pretty niche, but it can come in clutch sometimes, especially if you get a misfire. 3 out of 10. SSF2 doesn't have any ledge dashes, but Peach is pretty damn close to having one. Since jump from ledge is instant in this game, you can get an instant float. So if you cancel that float with an air dodge, you can land on the ground almost instantly. Very good for catching people off guard. And if you combine this with their parasol hitbox, you have a pretty damn good option from ledge. 8 out of 10. Popularized by JMI, Bowser's Fire Dash can give Bowser an incredible burst movement option. If you do a roar approaching the platform so that you're moving with your back turned, and you do an up-angled fireball, you get to edge cancel your backwards momentum and get pretty insane distance. Though it's really cool, it's still kind of a niche option, so I can only give it a 6 out of 10, but JMI really carried it. With Yoshi, if you do your up special and are touching the ground or ledge, you can get a quick little slide. Not the greatest since you're always forced to end the animation, meaning no edge cancel. But if you combine this with ledge, you get a decent ledge mix-up, so solid 5 out of 10. A lot of characters get some sort of a slide when you use the right move right before landing, but with a Wario, it's much more noticeable. Nothing absolutely insane, but the amount he slides is pretty decent for mixing up landings and providing tricky movement. But yeah, still 2 out of 10. More of a combo than anything, but still, if you want to use Waluigi's up B and either land it on a platform or grab the ledge, the hit stun from it is so much that it allows you to connect into another up B, which is pretty good for securing early stocks, especially since this move is known for catching people near a ledge for some reason. I'll give it 7 out of 10. Nothing flashy or cool for DK, but his snap to ledge with his up B is probably the best in the game. It's got a huge hitbox to go with it, and it's really easy to do. So it ledge refreshes and edge guarding becomes a decent amount more simple with him, but nothing too crazy. Still a 7 out of 10 though. Link has a ton, but my favorite is for sure reverse raying. If you angle his boomerang down towards a platform, it'll shoot behind you really fast. This thing has some crazy potential since it sends the opponent towards Link instead of away, so it's really good for combos. Unfortunately, it's kind of hard to set up and kind of obvious, so I can only give it a 4 out of 10, but I could see it getting much better in the future. Very boring character. All I could think of is her up B refresh too. It snaps ledge during its startup. I mean, it's not too bad. It's a ledge snap and it refreshes, but it's like boring, like this character. 4 out of 10. If you charge needles, normally you can't do anything out of it besides air dodge, but if you press attack then air dodge, that attack comes out. So this is pretty amazing for turning around midair when you realize last second that you want to do a different move. If you could cancel this into nothing, like in Melee, it would be a 10 out of 10, but it's still a 7 out of 10. On launch, one of the first things people found out was Ganon's down special slide. All you gotta do is do the move on the right size platform and you got it. At first it only worked on WarioWare, so this was kinda useless, but it became pretty good because they added more stages that it could be used on, so it's not too bad anymore. But since it's still stage limited, I'll give it a 5 out of 10. But yeah, it's a good burst option for a slow character. An absolute staple for this character. This tech lets you jump out of his up special so long as you went into the ground with it. This alone makes it useful as an attack since it becomes a lot harder to punish. Also, this move's really good for comboing because you can cancel it. It cancels into pretty much anything you want. So this gives him a really good movement tool in neutral and an amazing combo move. 10 out of 10, it's just iconic. Side B is pretty trash at shield breaking, to the point where it's not even a shield breaking move, it's kind of bad for that. But with double pound, you can actually do that. If you aim pound diagonally and into the ground, it actually attacks twice and also goes a little bit further. However, it's still pretty dog water. I mean, like, imagine hitting this. This is not happening. 2 out of 10. Alright, so the one that I picked for Pichu doesn't exist anymore. So that's my bad. But I have another one. If you're in Pichu's discharge state, if you just spam down B, you can actually gain height from that. So it gives you a little bit more recovery option, but kind of sad the old one's gone. He's probably got better tech, but I'll always think about the up special, the top plat thing. It's so funny to me. At the right percents, Lucario can up B to the top plat and no impact land. If there was no percent restriction, this could be a really cool thing when you hit somebody up there. But the chances that you hit somebody up there while also being at the perfect percent and in the perfect spot, it's probably not gonna happen. But if I see somebody do this tech, that'll be pretty cool. But still 1 out of 10. Haha, Kirby's the worst in the game and he has no tech. Haha, he's so trash. Literally the best I could come up with is letting you new players know that if you back throw or forward throw near ledge, you have the melee thing where you can just commit die. Not really a tech, more like a mechanic. But no, yeah, it's still pretty good. I mean, in some spots you can combo into it or tech chase into it. I'll give it a 5 out of 10. MK's Tornado has an interesting mechanic where if you touch the ground with it, it gets a really big speed boost for like no reason. It doesn't make it strong or anything, but it can sure catch people off guard. It's just another mix up to this character's recovery. Not like he needed it, but yeah, it's pretty good. You can see J-Mac use it pretty often. 6 out of 10, it's pretty good for what it is. Couldn't think of anything super specific for BD, so I went more general. His dare is really good for landing on platform quickly. Nothing new, but I will say a character with multiple jumps has a lot more options out of it. And I'd imagine getting to platform quick could be pretty decent to cover a lot of stuff with down B. Not too sure, but food for thought. 4 out of 10. With Fox, if you do shine right above a platform, you actually get a grounded shine. This is a pretty cool option because you can catch somebody shielding on platform and do a jump cancel shine grab, and that's pretty good. Or if they don't tech, you can shine them and punish with pretty much anything. Very cool but rare option that you don't see very often, especially online. 5 out of 10. Falco's side B snaps really high, so you can use it to snap ledge really quick and easily. Instead of having to do a pivot off ledge or a quick ledge grab, you can just go for the side B snap and it's very consistent and easy to learn. 6 out of 10 because it's replaceable with the other stuff that I mentioned, but it's like a safety strat. A very good option for how simple it is. Just side B off platform and you get a ton of momentum off of it. Absolutely crazy neutral option, and it's really hard to punish. Even if you misinput it and you end up hitting them, you're gonna hit their shield, you're gonna hit them, and you're gonna bounce off. It's really hard to punish and it feels inconsistent sometimes. So yeah, this tech mixes up for free. 10 out of 10 without a doubt. I miss Bomb Float. Yeah, all I could think of is her bomb stall. It lets you delay her recovery a little bit, adding a little bit of variation to your recovery. It's not used all that often because her recovery is really good as it is, but yeah, it's a thing. 6 out of 10 because sometimes you can hit people who are trying to edge guard really far out, but yeah, I miss Bomb Float. Pretty well known tech, but it's really been brought to light by Xtro. If you side B at the right distance and height, you can snap ledge from the stage. This makes for really good non-committal edge guards. Even if you mess up in neutral and accidentally do the tech, being on ledge with ZSS is like a blessing. So yeah, it's really broken. 10 out of 10. He ain't got much, but what he's got really fits him. The Timmy Turner is just a reverse side B at ledge. This puts out a hitbox that can catch people who are close to it. It's really stupid and dumb, but it sure is flashy, which I'd say fits Falcon to a T. 2 out of 10 though. Being able to jump out of down B makes it similar to Shine, in the way that it lets you turn around midair. However, his down B lets you keep the momentum that you have so that you can more reliably use it in combos, you know, if he was fast. Anywho, Mark used it a lot, and being able to do back air at will is pretty good with this character. So I'll go as far to say 6 out of 10. If Ness gets buffed though, it's over for all of us. On some stages, there's a spot where you can repeatedly up B, and it perfectly puts you at the ledge. It's really interesting for poking people playing a little bit too close to the ledge, but since Marth's trash and it doesn't snap, it's not too hard to punish, so I'll say 5 out of 10, but the moment he gets buffed, it's curtains. When I main pit, this was my absolute favorite thing to do. When you loop your arrow, it allows you to dash with it, so it forces some sort of option from your opponent and gives you the perfect opportunity to punish it. They're either gonna shield, so you get a free grab, or they're gonna get straight up hit, and it's leading to a free combo. Right now, he doesn't have the craziest follow-ups, so his reward is pretty low, so I'd say 6 out of 10, but the moment he gets buffed, okay, we get it. There's actually a whole video by Doc that I'll link in the description, but basically you could get a longer side special if you hold 2 buttons at the same time. Controller players can't do this, so 0 out of 10, but nah, it's really good at catching people out of range. And if you play Isaac on keyboard, there's pretty much no reason you shouldn't master this. It's just better than normal side B in every way. So 7 out of 10, maybe 8? The absolute best I could think is he has iframes on his down B so he can dodge some things. And by dodge stuff, I mean dodge nothing. There's not enough iframes to do anything with it, so yeah, it's actually useless. So 0 out of 10. Good job. Less of a tech and more of a mechanic, but the amount of people who don't know this is a thing is pretty wild. If you haven't used your jump yet, you can jump out of up B by doing the up B, dropping, and then jumping. This is how all of his up B combos are born, and it's crucial to his gameplay. Just thought you guys should know. 8 out of 10. Sonic's got a couple of things, but the first thing that comes to my mind is his reverse down special. Very simple to do. All you need to do is spring, and when you're doing down special in the air after it, you can turn in any direction, keeping that same momentum. It's very niche, but it's pretty common that you find yourself at the top of the screen after spring, so it's pretty nice for a landing. However, it's still pretty rare, so 3 out of 10. The Tails Dash is very popular, and it's one of those really old techs that lasted through all the patches. Kinda hard to explain how to do it, so I'll direct you towards an old bowler video, it's in the description. Anywho, really amazing for burst movement and neutral, and the tech itself has tech within it. It's really amazing, and the only thing holding it back is how hard it is for Tails to, you know, do anything. He's kinda garbo. For those reasons, I'll give it a 7 out of 10, but the moment Tails gets buffed, I don't see why we wouldn't learn this. This is probably the newest tech on the list coming out in current patch. Again, with the explanation, it's kind of hard, so I'll direct you towards a video by yours truly in the description. It's a really cool tech and it has a ton of applications. Just being able to go off stage alone with Mega Buster is a huge deal with this character. I think if you're learning Mega Man, you should be learning this tech. There's no reason, you get a lot out of it. So 8 out of 10. This one's probably the one that I'm most unfamiliar with, so don't mind me. Ryu has this mechanic where he can cancel normals into specials, and I mean it's alright. This character is super unexplored, so its applications could be crazy, but for now it's pretty good for tacking on some extra damage, so 5 out of 10, but could be much better. The single most important tech with this character has to be these item regrabs. Normally you have to throw your fruit immediately, so you can't do much with them before they disappear, but if you shield just as you toss it, it actually lets you hold it with your hands. This means you can pull off some pretty insane combos with it and also get access to another fruit. And with fruit in hand, you now have the ability to glide toss, which is pretty decent with tech. So yeah, this tech is pretty amazing, 10 out of 10. Here comes the most boring character ever. The only tech that people ever talk about is his up B slide, and that's because that's pretty much all he's got. You just up B while running and you get a little bit of slide. It's pretty cool. And funny enough, yeah, it's pretty good. Just dash and up B and you get a bunch of momentum out of it. It's just really solid because he's got no end lag out of up B moves, so You just up B, do a move, up B, do a move, up B, do a move, and you can kind of spam it without getting punished. So yeah, 7 out of 10. One of the first things discovered about this character was the whip dash. So long as you up B at the right height above the ground, you get a pretty big slide where you're fully actionable. I've seen some stuff done with it, but it's more of a style thing than anything. Still 6 out of 10 though, it can catch some people off guard. Could not think of a single tech with this character, so you'll get a mechanic instead. Did you know that his aerial side B can reflect projectiles? Oh, you did? Well, that's all you're getting here. 3 out of 10. A pretty important tech that Black Mage has access to is from his up special. Normally, if you up special, you teleport and fall to the ground with some end lag. But if your teleport ring is touching the ground, you actually get no lag at all. This is pretty vital for mixing up his recovery since it's so linear, so honestly it's an 8 out of 10. You kinda need to do it with Black Mage. Sora is a menace when it comes to tech, but by far my favorite has to be his Keyblade cancel. So you know how normally when he throws Key, he just gets stuck in that animation? If you throw Key and then snap the ledge afterwards, you can actually move while your opponent is still stuck in that Key combo. So you get to punish with basically anything you want. It's really good for anti-ledge pressure and comboing in general. It's easy 10 out of 10. If you didn't know, Plum is technically considered a platform, which means you can RC dash off of it. If you don't know what that is, there's another video in the description for that. But to keep it simple, it's just combining moving Plum with an RC dash to get some pretty ridiculous momentum. At times, Rayman's recovery can be a little bit predictable, but mix this in with it and it becomes much harder to get a read on what Rayman's doing. So I'd say 6 out of 10. It's pretty good. Goku's up special acts in a really weird way. If you do his recovery horizontally at the right height, you get to keep some of that momentum of the move while you're sliding across the stage. It's like Simon's, but way quicker to do. Still giving it a 6 out of 10 though. This freak of nature for some reason has been given a wobble with this side B. You can just keep doing the side B over and over again, and if you react to the DI, it's actually not possible to escape at lower percents. It's dumb and it's broken. 10 out of 10. Something RC is sort of bringing to light is Naruto's up special to plat. If you do Naruto's up special and do the kick right above the platform, you're actually able to remove a lot of the end lag, and you also can get a slight slide. It makes it a lot safer to do in neutral, and it lets you set up a Naruto clone on the ground in a pretty safe manner. It's a pretty neat tech that I'd like to see more Narutos do if we had Narutos. 6 out of 10 though. Could be better. I don't know. Classic fair dash. Everyone knows about it. Ichigo's fair does a little teleport forward, so if you combine that with the landing fair, it cancels into a slide. It provides some pretty sick movement that feels similar to wave dashing, but unfortunately the setup's a little slow and it's sometimes really easy to know what you're going for, and other times it's not, so it's not the most predictable thing. It's still definitely one of the coolest techs with a bunch of potential, but for now I'll only give it a 7 out of 10. But if we see a little bit more Ichigos do it, I could see this thing getting really good. And last, but certainly not least, Sandbag has a way to recatch his bombs from the up special with this really weird setup that only works on a few stages. However, the setup is extremely long, so the only time realistically you're gonna pull this is in between stocks. I mean, we just seen JMI do it pretty recently in a game, so I don't know. The sky's the limit with this character. So I'll give it a 3 out of 10, but it's not really needed. And yeah, that's everyone. I had this video in mind for the longest time, but obviously for some of these characters I was struggling really hard. I just decided let's just do it, and I'm happy I did. Not sure how these videos are gonna end up doing with the community, but if they do well, I might just make a little bit more. But anyway, thanks for watching. Maybe consider subscribing. Remember, trying to hit 3K by the end of summer, and have a good day.